Day 3. Whoa, oh. Betty, I keep telling you, you can't just be standing there looking at me while I sleep. Alright. A new day, filled with possibilities and opportunities. I'll find you. First I gotta make sure I look presentable to the world. Yeah, look at that dead soul stare. Perfect. Alright, let's see what kind of mischief Lizzie's gotten herself into. Cartwheels in the garden again? No? Oh, we do have some goats though. Oh my... Oh, they're surrounding the house. Oh no. Lizzie, we gotta go. Look at him. The ringleader of all the goats. You can't stay.
Where are you, Lizzie?
Upstairs.
Upstairs? We haven't gone up...
Is that you?
We haven't gone upstairs. Okay. Oh, Ruth's room. Okay, well. Are you snooping?
This is her room. Are you paying attention? Ruth. Can you imagine? One moment you're living a perfectly happy life, and then... nothing. Darkness. Forever and ever. Maybe there's something here that can tell us what happened to her.
This is a waste of my time.
We might be the only ones left to tell her story, Edward.
You're just being melodramatic. I'll help you look.
That's an amazing picture. I want that on my wall. It's great. Okay, the bed.
She made her bed that morning. Before she...
Or her parents did. It doesn't matter. It tells us nothing.
Why are you like this today? Betty's not the only person in the world that matters.
She matters the most to me.
Ain't that the truth?
I think I found out why Ruth died. Okay, so if you're a little girl sleeping here, and this is in your corner, in your peripheral at all times when you sleep, pretty sure I'd jump off a cliff too. Ah, look at that, they're in church. Okay, so that's interesting. So you can see Simon and Ruth sort of looking over, being buddy buddies, and then just look at Johan and Frederick hating it. It's sort of like a Romeo and Juliet kind of thing, except they're cousins.
Ruth was an artist.
This is very primitive.
Have you ever met a child, Edward? She was
This is
Monet.
very primitive.
She was 8. This must be the village church. That's Ruth and her family on one side of the aisle. Simon and his father on the other.
A community divided.
Wow, she had a lot of just artistic, like the way she drew this, it says so much. I really like it. What's this? Treasure.
She found something.
Where's that supposed to be?
Probably
Cave. Or the...
mine.
It could be.
The brooch.
But what did she find?
The brooch that
something
you put
important enough to draw.
the brooch that you put on the doll. Maybe she found some ancient Viking treasure. Oh, that would be so cool. Oh, it has to be related to the doll, right? Oh. It's really tragic when you see children draw stuff like this. Oh, hey, that's your face.
That must be Ruth and Simon's fathers.
Perhaps. They weren't on the best of terms.
They look like they want to kill each other.
To a child, maybe it looked worse than it was.
Children are more insightful than you give them credit for, Teddy Bear.
I wouldn't know. I've never been a child. I was born a grumpy old man. And I shall remain. Is the goat still there? Oh yeah, I still see them surrounding the garden. Lizzie, get my gun. Why is this on the floor? That... Forbannelsen? I don't want to... That means the curse. That's a drawing of a troll, right?
Ruth never finished this. What does that spell? F-O-R-B.
For Banelson. The curse.
Who's that figure supposed to be? It's creepy.
A figment of her imagination. But the box she drew.
That's the same one as...
Looks like this box under her desk.
Really? Let me see. Pull it out.
Oh, this is getting good. Bingo.
What is this?
Viking treasure.
I believe this might qualify as actual treasure.
Is that Norwegian money?
Sort of, but ancient. Viking coins.
Are they valuable?
Not in terms of monetary value, but historically. They belong in a museum.
Looks like Ruth had her own private museum.
Why would a child have these artifacts?
She must have enjoyed collecting and playing with them.
These are much too precious to play with. She should have given these to an adult.
She was a child, Edward. To her, they were just shiny toys. Wait! The pin! On the doll!
This is where it came from, her collection.
But where did she find these treasures?
In the mine.
If we're to believe her drawing, perhaps the mine. She may have found a grave site. Wherever she found them, she wanted to keep them hidden.
You think someone found out?
These items wouldn't necessarily be worth much, except to a historian or archaeologist.
What if this is how... I mean, if someone learned she'd been collecting treasures, they might be willing to do terrible things.
But there's the treasure's still here.
There's a story here. The treasure box, the drawings.
The overactive mind of an imaginative child.
She didn't imagine the Viking artifacts. You shouldn't be so dismissive. The drawings could be her way of dealing with traumatic events.
This is what happens when I read you the principles of psychology. You get notions.
You say that like it's a bad thing. Ruth was troubled. The village was troubled, and... Is that a bell?
The church bell. Someone's here. Maybe... Betty.
Why would Betty ring the church bell?
Perhaps she's in trouble. I need to get to the church right now.
Wait, isn't it more likely to be the person you saw the other night? We should be careful.
I told you, I'm not sure that was anything. Come on.
Go ahead. I'll catch up with you before you get there. I need a minute to think about all of this.
All right.
Do you see anyone?
They must be inside the church.
Well, that's usually where you are when you ring the bell. You don't stand on the outside, wagging it with a hammer. Alright. We should explore the rest of the house, though. I know you're in a hurry to see Beth at every freaking opportunity you have. Alright. Oh, okay, that's quite a journal. Yeah, we're not reading that. This... I can't read that second word. Okay. We received an odd letter yesterday addressed to Johan. It's from an American gentleman, Mr. Edward... Oh, that's me. Of Hanover, Massachusetts. The letter was well written and very polite. Mr... It is Harden, right? Or is it Harden? Received... okay. Maybe this is going to be important later on. August 23rd. I asked Ruth if she plays up by the... She plays up by Frederick's farm or near the old mine. She promised she doesn't. I've never had reason not to believe her, but I still feel she's hiding something from me. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I feel like we should try to go through this, but she has left us. Our dear Ruth is gone. I cannot believe it was Simon's doing. He too is now gone, and with them, all hope Graavik had left in it. Someone damaged it. I mean, this seems way too important to just ignore, right? Maybe we're gonna come back to it later, right? I don't wanna... Oh. Draugen Waltz? Oh, I want to play this. Hold on. Get the keyboard. Okay. Okay, what are we playing? Let's see. Step first. Do we start on A? Okay. Let's see. A. It's not plugged in. Okay. We'll leave Edward to play. How very eloquent, Edward. Oh. That's nice. I want to print that out and play that, actually. That could be fun. Okay. Piano Man. Draw. I mean, we have to read that book. I mean, I have to decipher what it says. Edward's an interesting fella, isn't he? He has, you know, he has his priorities. He's always been a bit of a peculiar man. Not necessarily bad. And Lizzie's just sort of all over the place. I really hope Lizzie is real. That she's not just a figment of his imagination. I mean, she just sort of moves around the place. She doesn't really... I need to pay more attention. Because she always just seems like... Because it's either a limit of, you know, the game you're making and having interactions with characters and objects in that way, or it's a subtle hint that things are not what they seem. Because we're getting signs that Edward's psyche is not great. There's some things that he struggles with. Alright. We need to inspect that book a bit further. We need to know. Oh, that's really nice. That's really nice. Okay. Or wait, have I put these pages in my journal, perhaps? Oh, that's the letter I found. That's the map. Well, that's the letter I got. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so no. I pressed the button to flip the... I guess you don't press to flip pages in this menu. Oh, wait, was that... Did I just get a read op? Oh. Oh, they have a read option. Why haven't I seen that before? I implement this in my own games as well when I have notes. Oh, yuck. Okay, I think we can read after all. August 3rd, 1923. This morning I had lemon juice in hot water with no sugar instead of tea. I also had half an apple and dry toast. I've been gaining weight lately. I read about this diet in the paper. It's apparently very popular in London. But I'm dreadfully hungry and crave fried eggs and sausages. Now, the girl's last name was Taylor, which is not a typical Norwegian name. It was Margaret and Anna. I wonder if they are Norwegian or if they are foreign as well, if they are British or they have a different nationality. There might be. Because she's writing in English, which I don't imagine many Norwegians would. We received an odd letter yesterday addressed to Johan. It's from an American gentleman, Mr. Edward Harden of Hanover, Massachusetts. The letter was well written and very polite. Mr. Harden received our information from the Alderson police when he requested a contact in Graavik. I do wonder why they gave him Johan's name and not Frederick's. Perhaps because our dear Margaret is no longer with us, and I am better prepared to respond in English than Frederick. So Margaret is no longer with us. Frederick's wife. Mr. Harden inquired about his sister Elizabeth Harden, who's traveling on her own. Apparently she's a journalist. Imagine that. Crossing the Atlantic Ocean to write about Norway. It sounds wonderful. I don't know what this accent is. It's just how she talked. Look it up. The letter said Elizabeth telegraphed her brother from Ålesund to inform him that she planned to visit Graavik. Why she'd want to come to this dreary old place, I have no idea. There's nothing here worth writing about anymore. His sister has not arrived yet. If she had, I would have tired her out with questions about America, being a journalist and traveling the world on her own. She sounds so interesting. I hope she does come, even though she will surely be bored out of her mind. I'll write Mr. Harden today. Johan is not comfortable writing letters, especially in English. He agrees that we should invite Mr. Harden to stay here, if he decides to come. After all, there are no guest houses in Graavik, and our spare room is rarely used. Also, I have to admit, having a visitor from America sounds terribly exciting. August 5th. So, next day. This morning, I had a boiled egg and buttered toast after Johan told me I was being silly and that I do not need to lose any weight, seeing as we're not in London and no one cares. Johan, he knows what's up. He puts it so eloquently. Okay, next page. I wrote Mr. Harden to invite him to stay at the house if he decides to come. I am terribly excited. I do worry for his sister. I wonder where she could be. August 9th. There was an argument in the shop earlier today. Frederick was yelling at poor Astrid, claiming their goats had been grazing on his land. I wanted to speak up, but knew it would only make him angrier. Poor Astrid. Johan went across the fjord this morning to purchase some necessities, including new fabrics, and to pick up the post. The letters have been piling up in the store. I sometimes worry the world has completely forgotten about us. I finished another dress today. This one is for myself. There are no customers anymore. No one here needs another dress, and it's been ages since we visited the city. I hardly know anyone there, and who would want their dresses made in Graavik when they can have one tailored in Ålesund? I feel lonely today. I miss my dear Margaret so much after all these years. So they seem to have a pretty good... I mean, they were twin sisters, so... I mean, they were at least sisters. I don't know if they were twins, but they were sisters at the very least. And Johan and Frederick... Was it confirmed that they were twins, or did they just look alike? I don't know, but the matching mustaches just... Oh. August 20th. I think Ruth is hiding something from me. She's been awfully secretive. She goes off on her own more than usual, and her clothes are filthy. I don't mind her playing and exploring, of course. I always did regret Margaret and I not being allowed to run free when we were little. Ruth says she's just looking for flowers and pretty rocks. I shouldn't worry so much. So that's probably when Ruth was going down into the mine. August 21st. Simon stopped by today with a gift for Ruth, a whole bar of chocolate. He's a sweet boy, but Frederick would be furious if he knew. Oh yeah, they have no reason to dislike Simon yet. August 22nd. I asked Ruth if she plays up by Frederick's farm or near the old mine. She promised she doesn't. I never had a reason not to trust her, but still feel like she's hiding something from me. How come she died, though? Is the treasure involved? I looked at her drawings while she was out. She's got such an imagination. The clues are there. September 5th. Oh, this is quite some time later. We received another letter from Mr. Harden. He'll be here in October as planned. I look forward to having someone else to speak with, if only for a few days. Not that Johan isn't good company, but we have little to converse about outside of our daily routines. There's been no sign of Mr. Harden's sister yet. If she left Ålesund weeks ago, where could she be? She may well have decided to stop along the way. We've heard nothing, but we so rarely speak with anyone outside Graavik these days. I do hope she's alright. I would hate for Mr. Harden to come all this way to no avail. Ruth is still being secretive. I know she's hiding something. One of these days I will follow her, as a good parent should. So that's a joke. September 9th. No church service again today. The Vicar hasn't been back since the memorial service in July. Johan believes he won't be back and that he has given up on Graavik like everyone else. I think I'm coming down with a cold. September 15th. Someone damaged our boat during the night. That's the third one this month. Johan suspects Frederick, of course. I fear something is bubbling to the surface again after all these years. I'm not at all feeling well and spent most of yesterday and today in bed. Ruth was sweet and brought me potato soup and tea with honey and milk. Oh, she's just precious. Hopefully she lives a good long life. September 18th. She has left us. Our dearest Ruth is gone. Okay. I cannot believe it was Simon's doing. He too is now gone, and with him all hope Graavik had left in it. Okay, you say that Simon is gone. I assume you mean that Simon left town and disappeared? We still don't know who the hanged person was. Okay. I think it was important that we read that. I think that was muy importante, as they say in... Not in Norway, that's not a... I'm curious about the letter downstairs, though, because I didn't really fully get it. It looks like Anna was just like, oh yes, company. I do so like... Oh, please tell me we can go out here. Yes! Greet the day! Pling! I mean, they've been ringing that bell for like 10 minutes now while I was reading the letter. They must really want someone to come over. Alright. I'll be there soon. Don't worry. Be there in just a moment. I can't just not explore. I guess I can just not explore. Okay. But I can't just not explore. Yes. Oh. Jesus Christ. Literally. Okay. Father, I want that where I am... Where... Oh, they should be with me. Let's just see my loveliness that you've given me. You have loved me for the world's foundation was built. That's a little old Norwegian even for me. I'm not... because a lot of this is, you know, really old, but... Most of it's translatable, but not all of it. It's that, look at that. Now, that if I was a king, that'd be the kind of mustache I'd have. Okay. Let's get going. So, the church bells are a-ringing. Who's ringing them, and for what purpose? Edward's gonna get to the bottom of it. He's rushing down now. Thought of Beth. Betty. Elizabeth, not Beth. I'm mixing Ruth and Betty. We already looked at this. Is that a levitating letter? No, it's just scorched. It looks like a shadow. Okay, we can't double check that again. That's fine. It was probably just Anna being like, oh, Mr. Harden, yes, please do come visit. It's so dreadfully awful here in Graavik. I do want your visit. Okay, though. He's watching me. He knows I'm late. Let's go. Let's just hurry on. Hurry on over. I am just so... I don't know what turn this is going to take. I don't know how... Because, you know, it's a fictional story where anything can technically happen, but how far do they want to push this? You know? Can I go in these houses now? Because I just closed the door the other times. Am I feeling bolder? No, I probably aren't. Yeah. Yeah, Edward's still too much of a wuss. Edward and Lizzie does not go well together, though. They bicker at every opportunity that they get. Ooh, look at the goo! Okay, I just needed a bit of fawning at cute animals. I'm coming. I'm coming, Elizabeth. You dropped your scarf and your hat. Which is strange, because she never arrived in Graavik while Anna was writing in the diary. Anna stopped when Ruth died, so in that case, she never mentioned her coming. So if she came here, that would have been after Ruth's death. That's also probably when things went really bad. Okay. Seen that notice before.
All these fresh graves.
Are you...
Do you think that maybe
No.
Betty...
I'd know.
But...
You wouldn't understand. Elizabeth and I, we have a bond.
God, Edward. Your obsession with her is really starting to grate.
Sort of agree. And again, you're kind of grading too, so we make a good pair in that sense. God might not be here, but Edward is.
No one's touched these since yesterday. Regardless of how they got past the wards, there's someone in there.
Let's go.
Who did this?
Someone who'd lost their faith.
Gone fishing?
God is not here.
Well, of course he isn't. You won't find God in a church. God is the wind in the trees, the grass between your toes, the brook that runs
That's
through.
nature, not God.
Can you peek through the boards?
Yeah, if I remove gods.
See anyone?
No,
Listen! The bell! They're still in there!
Jesus Christ. That rope dangling, though. Alright. How do we get in?
Hello? I heard the bell.
This is giving me
I'm here to help.
heebie-jeebies.
These boards look flimsy enough to break.
Oh, come on. Here's Edward. I thought he was preparing for like a kick. Oh, that would have been sweet.
Look at that. The Ethel becomes an Edward. I didn't think you had it in you, old fruit.
Be quiet. Betty? Are you here? Hello? This is Edward Harden. I'm looking for my sister, Elizabeth.
Stop shouting, Edward. We're alone. There are only ghosts here.
There are no ghosts.
I don't know about that. What's this rope for?
The bell.
This is the bell we heard ringing?
I don't see any other bells.
So you have to stand here and pull this rope to ring it.
Yes.
That's
There was
interesting.
no one here. You didn't see anyone, right?
No. No one.
Ghosts. I'm telling you, it's ghosts. So what happened to the hunchback of Graavik?
They must be here still. There's only the one exit.
Maybe it was the wind.
A church bell's too heavy. It can't have been the wind. I mean... I don't know. Maybe it was the wind. There's no one here. Lissy. Look.
Beth?
Betty's gloves.
Yeah.
They are definitely Betty's.
Oh, for
She got
Pete's
these
sake.
in Boston before she left for New York. She bought them at Woolworth. I remember the day she... She's here.
Where? And why would she leave her clothes lying around? It doesn't make sense.
Breadcrumbs. She's sending me a message. She knew I'd recognize her gloves. Her hat. She's left a trail for me to follow, like Ariadne's red thread.
Red
We're not
threads.
in a
Betty
labyrinth.
will have left more crumbs.
Betty. You're turning into such a pill. What happened here?
The sign on the door.
Crucified.
God is not here.
Oh, the church.
Their faith was challenged. And it didn't survive.
Alright, what's this? Apparently not important.
That bell still bothers me.
Didn't you say it was the wind?
I guess it could have been the wind.
Once you eliminate the impossible, etc., etc.
The church book. A record of births and deaths.
So we can find out what happened to the people in the village?
And, Elizabeth. I mean, if she was dead...
Her name would be in the book.
Oh.
Vandals. Tore it to pieces.
I don't think the missing pages left the church. Look.
Yeah, so that's one of the pages I saw.
How many pages are missing?
I counted 4.
They're probably all still here. I know. Let's make it a competition. 1-0 to Team Me.
Alright, well I got a note over here.
I wanted you to find that one. I know what a rotten loser you are.
People. You know, just random people. No one in particular.
The final dinner.
The Last Supper. Who taught you about the New Testament? What are you doing? We're in a
We
church.
had the same
Thought
reaction
you didn't
there.
believe in God.
I do believe in civility.
It's great. It's great. Alright.
They considered this a sacred place. For them to destroy it.
Oh
This
boy.
was an act of desperation.
I've never seen you read the Bible before.
I've read the Bible many times. It's an important historical document.
This might as well be Greek, because this is so old.
For he is our peace, who hath made both one, and hath broken down the middle wall of partition between us.
Did you just translate that into Old English?
I happen to know the verse by heart.
Okay.
You still manage to surprise me sometimes.
Alright. Jesus. Well, it's fitting.
Jesus looks sad.
What reason would Jesus have to be happy?
Don't be blasphemous.
Given that this is all fiction, blasphemy is a contradiction.
Heretic.
Alright, moving past that one. Ooh.
You found another one? Just one more page missing.
Collecting pages. Is this Slender? I hope not. Slender, is he in Graavik? Oh, is this a sermon?
What's that?
The last sermon that was held here.
What does it say?
I don't
The
know.
vicar's handwriting is hard to decipher, and the language.
I can't see anything.
He talks about the village being divided for 20 years. This sermon was held on the anniversary of the accident this past summer. He's asking the congregation to help heal old wounds, to forgive, move on. Something to the effect of, you sit in separate aisles in God's house.
Like Ruth's drawing. I told you, she was perceptive.
Tilje hverandre.
Edward?
Forgive each other. It addresses Johann and Frederick directly. But I wonder if they were even here.
Remember the wedding picture? They were close friends once. How could they allow their grudge to escalate until...
You call each other traitors, but the only thing you've betrayed are the bonds that unite us. It sounds like Graavik was split in two, between those who stood by Johann and those who supported Frederick.
Because of Ruth?
The sermon is from before that. No, this is all about the preceding 20 years of division and disagreements. Here's something else. Many of you believe Graavik was cursed 20 years ago. God has not cursed you. This curse is of your own making.
Ruth's drawing mentioned a curse. What do you think that means?
It means they believed they were cursed, and that they needed something or someone to blame for their misfortune.
Wish we could actually read that, but apparently we can't.
Found another one. You get it. It's right here.
Alright.
2 for 2. A tie. Good job, Teddy. Old
Stop,
bean.
Lissy. This is not a game. Betty's out there.
Of horse feathers. Stop being so gosh darn tedious, Edward. Betty, Betty, Betty. Will you ever shut up about your precious Betty? Put those pages back in the book, and I'll stop trying to cheer you up.
Alright. Check out the candles.
Isn't this a fire hazard?
They're not always lit. Each candle represents a single prayer.
That's a lot of prayers.
There were a lot of deaths.
Rearrange.
This book goes back years.
Oh, wow.
It lists births and deaths.
Uh-oh.
Here's the third Fretland brother. The one who died in a cave-in. Someone added the word for Banelson, probably quite recently.
What does that mean again?
Curse. That word is all over this book. Not just the men who died in the mine, but other deaths in the last 20 years.
Ruth's drawing and the sermon both mentioned a curse. What do you think it means?
I don't know. There were surprisingly few births.
Perhaps they blame that on the curse as well.
Oh shit.
Look here. Ruth Elsa Fretland. She was buried in the cemetery. And the next entry, Simon Fretland. Now this is interesting.
Simon is dead? Oh, that's dreadful.
He drowned the day after Ruth died. Probably no coincidence. See what's scribbled next to it?
Ward?
Murder.
Who killed him? Ruth's father? Or the mob that trashed the store?
It doesn't say. After the children, a half-dozen deaths in a single week.
The curse.
It's listed as the cause for every single death.
Maybe there really was a curse.
Primitive superstition. But something changed after Ruth and Simon. It might explain why there's no one around.
Edward, if it killed everyone, how's that not a curse? What does that word say? Next to those names at the bottom.
Traitor.
Traitor.
Okay. Ruth died from a fall. Simon died from drowning. Murder. And then people started perishing left and right. I can't quite make out that word next to them. I can't quite make out what that's supposed to be. Okay, let's turn.
Edward?
Ukjent.
What's wrong?
The final entry. There's no name.
Ukjent means unknown.
Alice. What if...
Oh, Edward, no.
Betty.
It doesn't mean she's...
She's not dead. She can't be. I'd know.
Teddy.
I need to see the grave for myself. It's not Betty. Betty's still alive.
Teddy? Where are you going? Don't leave me! Edward!
You better not be here, Betty. I'll never forgive you. This one, it's unmarked.
What are you doing? Have you gone completely mad? Edward, stop it!
Well, stop me if you can. If you have any physical presence in this world, stop me.
Thank God. It's not her. It's not Betty. It's not her.
Oh, Edward. What have you done?
It's not Elizabeth. I was so afraid.
You're a monster.
But I had to be sure. If Betty...
To hell with your Betty! When did she ever shed a tear for you?
Don't talk about my baby sister like
Or
that.
what? Or what, Edward? What will you do? Ignore us? Banish us? You've spent your entire life chasing her. When are you going to do something useful with what's left of it?
Quiet! Just leave me be.
Fine.
Lizzie?
Yeah.
Alice?
Figures.
Come back! Don't leave me alone. Please! Come back! I need you.
It's a dark day in Graavik. I feel it's only gonna get darker from here.